Okay, I want to explain some different situations in this hand where the opponent can have, you can see here, he can have a monster right here. He can have a flush because he raised us on the turn when there's a flush draw out there. He can have complete air, or he can have a medium strength hand, top pair, top kicker, or an overpair, okay? So we're going to contrast the effects of betting small, big. I'm leaving out medium for the sake of making this a little more streamlined. Small, big, or checking. Okay, so let's start with betting small. If we bet small, obviously with the monsters, we're going to end up getting all in. Okay, we've only got $400 in front of us, and the money's going to easily get all in. But if he has a flush, he likely just calls on this paired board. If we bet really, really small, he may raise us with a flush, but that's pretty silly. So let's say we bet, he's going to be a little bit worried. We called a raise on the turn, and then we called a raise on the turn, and then we're betting on the river. So he likely calls. He's going to fold out his air, and the medium strength hands, if we bet small, he calls, okay? So now let's say we bet big. The monsters won't matter. We're getting all in for sure. The flush, he definitely calls, unless we're betting super big. We don't want to blow him out of the water. The pot's got $200. If we bet $300 over bet, he may fold a flush, especially a small one. But I'm going to assume he calls. So let's say a big bet would be 60% pot, half pot, something like that. He calls. But we fold out the air, and we're going to get back to this, but this is a problem when he folds out the air when we bet both small and big. If you're wondering what air is, it just means he's got absolutely nothing, and he's never going to call our bet based on the action, and he may he's gonna fold, and he may bluff. Well, we'll get to that in a second with the checking. Okay, so the medium strength hands, he may top pair, top kicker. If we bet big, close to a pot size bet, he's going to probably fold. I don't think this guy calls $200 with top pair, top kicker, and he certainly may fold the overpair aces or kings, although it's more likely he calls with those than ace queen. But so he's either folding or calling. Okay, but these are hands we're going to see. Now we're going to go to checking. Okay, the monsters don't make a difference. When he has top set or second set, the money's getting all in. So that's the same. Okay, so you got to realize when he's got what we want him to have, an absolute monster, full house, it doesn't matter what we do. It just doesn't matter. The money's going to be maximized. The win's going to be maximized. Okay, so now for flushes, he is going to bet, which allows us to check raise, and we may get a call for a huge amount of money. We may. But if we bet small or big, he just calls. So it seems like the better choice here would be to check. Let him bet his flush, because the flush got there on the river, and he may have been semi-bluffing on the turn when he raised us, okay? Now, when he has air and we check, there's a chance he gives up and checks behind, but that doesn't hurt us, and he may bet, which he would fold to our check raise, but at least we got some value. We got his bet value, okay? And then when he has a medium strength hand, when we check, there's a good chance he's going to bet, which we can check raise, and we have a chance he calls our check raise. Okay, but if we bet big, he folds, and if we bet small, he likely just calls there. Okay, now when you look at all these squares here and you add it up, it seems to me checking is the best option. That's what I did. Okay, I'll tell you what happened in a minute, but the only downside if we go through to checking may be that this medium strength hand, he bets and he folds to our check raise, where maybe we could bet a little bigger and he might call it. But that's splitting hairs. It really looks like there's very little downside to checking. There's very, very little downside to checking. There's really nothing bad that can happen by checking, and a lot of good things that can happen. He bets all his air. I mean, if he's going to continue to, if he's bluffing, we have a reasonable chance. There's no downside to his air not being bet, but we have a good chance he's going to bet the air. The flushes, we can check raise, and so on and so on. So that's it. I'll tell you what happened. I checked. He bet $200, and I raised 200 more, check raise all in, and he snap folded in disgust. So it turned out he had air. He would have thought a little bit more. He would have thought more than a half a second before he folded if he had one of these other hands. He didn't. He had complete air. Now, we're not results oriented, so we can't say that proves that checking was the best play. But what I think proves it is going through all the different possibilities. Okay, that's it. Have a great day.